AEW Talent are concerned about Tony Khan's relationship with CM Punk. Plus, we've got an update on the backstage confrontations from AEW Collision, and the reason for a WWE star's return has been revealed. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Let's bookend the week with CM Punk in the news throughout this week.
Throughout the last 8 years, I would say.
I mean, that's it does feel like 83 years. CM Punk got a few headlines over the past few days following Collision and some of the conversations that he had backstage. We'll talk a bit about those in a moment, but an update from Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer goes into detail about a PW Torch report, which was Tony Khan's reaction to CM Punk's return that got some people talking.
It was apparently in Gorilla chanting CM Punk when CM Punk made his return. In an update from The Observer, it is written, this story came from the 21st of the 6th Dynamite show in Chicago, where multiple people said that when Punk came out, Khan stood up in Gorilla with his headset on and started doing a CM Punk chant and pumping his arms over his head. From that point on, most of the top talent recognized that it was best to keep quiet about anything involving Punk because it was a fight that it served no purpose to get into.
Several were unhappy with how things were going down unchecked, and several stated the fear that things would get worse as well. As genuinely the vibe is that Punk is Tony Khan's favourite, if you know that reaction.
It would be my favourite if he was making me that much money in merch sales.
I mean, there is that.
I totally get it. I don't think it's an especially good look for Tony Khan to be doing that, unless he's doing it for everybody. Right?
I don't be doing it for everybody.
When Luther comes out, right? And Luther. That's all right. That's okay. As long as he's doing it for everybody. But
I'd argue you need to be G'ing up the guys like Luther more than Punk.
Totally.
Yeah.
Punk's had that his whole wrestling career. Luther hasn't. Is he still on telly, Luther?
£1 a month, you can get Luther a pop. Now, there are positives despite this, according to The Observer, and this is something that we've heard reiterated across numerous reports and stuff this week, saying Punk was described as a good leader on the Collision show and very instrumental in the booking of the show. It is very much considered his show, and while he is in the focal point, they have tried to elevate others on the show and make it feel different to Dynamite.
Which they've done actually a really good job of. I think Collision does stand apart from Dynamite really well, and personally speaking, I prefer Collision. The on-screen product, I think, is really fun. It flies by, that show.
It really does zip by. It really does. So you're a collider then?
I'm a big collider.
Oh, you're a massive collider. I always knew it. Also, The Observer asks, how can we be pro elite and colliders? It's almost like we just like the stuff we like. What a wild idea. The Observer also adds, for the most part, the crew is harmonious, but there are those that are tired of it. Different cliques and a couple of the backstage veterans who aren't part of the actual conflict directly have expressed concern to The Observer this week that unless things are handled now, they are risking things getting far worse.
It's a weird position to be in, this whole thing. At the moment, like, it's all kicking off, but things, according to this report, are largely harmonious. I totally agree that if this situation isn't remedied, things are going to get worse. It's absolutely bonkers that you've got a company where certain people are encouraged not to turn up at certain events. That's awful for morale, obviously, and I don't think it shows especially good leadership. However much I like Collision, and I'm a collisioner, I think you're gonna end up breeding a really toxic work environment if that isn't already there.
The people that you're talking of there being Ryan Nemeth and Hangman Page. So it was this week it reported that Ryan Nemeth, following a confrontation with CM Punk a little while ago, was sent home, and Hangman Page went to go and film a promo away from the arena. That was the promo outside the hospital that we saw on Dynamite on Wednesday, which creatively I kind of preferred him being at the hospital rather than being in front of a Dynamite screen.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was the right shout. It's a shame how they got there, but yeah, it is.
Dave Meltzer's gone into a little bit more detail about that, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he said, when Hangman was told not to go to the building, the term used was to keep the peace, and his promo taping was moved to another location in Greensboro. The story going around after was that it was Punk related, with different people in the company with knowledge of the situation, both confirming and denying that part of the story. So mixed reports, I guess, coming out of that. I agree that it was the right shout of doing it in that location, but for the phrase to keep the peace to be thrown around, and then Punk got on the mic afterwards and ridiculed him for not selling enough merch. I just think that's incredibly hypocritical. I think that's and sure, maybe that's Punk healing it up. Maybe he's working us marks or something like that. I think there's truth in his words. I think he believes those words when they came out of his mouth. So I think it was a foolish thing to do.
Ryan Nemeth being sent home, according to the Observer as well, believes that that was due to the feeling by management to not risk another situation, as tensions were very high at that point among those, at least some due to what happened with Nemeth and Punk previously, which has been talked about by many in the company, including those who were not in Greensboro. The word of the incident did travel very fast. So again, it's that thing of let's not upset Punk people backstage.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
A little bit feels that way.
I'm struggling with this whole story because I'm not saying that it's an outright work or anything like that, but I think there are elements of truth and elements of fiction in this whole thing. And I'm actually, you know what? It's interesting, if nothing else, to talk about. I can't work it out. I don't know what's real and what's not.
It's difficult, and the one thing you should always remember is that one man should not be the company. Like there should, you should always, you should be as good as the sum of your parts, but the one man should not be bigger than the company. On that bombshell, over the weekend, we're ranking every Hulk Hogan title reign on the Cultaholic
World
YouTube
title
channel.
reigns, all the ones from WCW, WWF, WWE. It was a really fun video to do that. That's going up over this weekend.
There's a lot of interesting conversations about some of the times that Hogan held that trinket, that toy, and we'll talk about them on the channel, as well as taking a look at a Raw from 2020. What a weird year that was for everyone.
Completely. The debut of Raw Underground is what Jack is focusing on. It's a really great video. That's also going up on Sunday afternoon.
An all-new weirdest wrestling shows ever. Talking of Raw, somebody that we could possibly see back on Raw, possibly SmackDown, is Kairi Sane. There's been a lot of conversation about Kairi making a big return to WWE after she stepped away to go and work in Japan. The Observer giving us a bit of detail about how this has come about and why.
Yeah, regarding the return of Kairi Sane, the basic issue is that she was still very close to Rossi Ogawa. Bushi Road wanted her exclusive. She wanted to work more dates, but Bushi Road wanted exclusivity regarding the more dates, which would also mean more money. And then she started talking away about returning to WWE, her thoughts of returning with people close to her, particularly with the success that Sky has had there. She talked with those who supported her leaving with the idea that if she doesn't go back, she later in life would always have questions or regrets about it. She also felt things for her would be better with Levesque in charge of creative. That's it. Nobody wants to live with that hanging over them. Nobody wants that what if, and it really does feel that she's got unfinished business there. She should be towards the top, if not top of the women's division, and I really, really hope they do her justice this time around because she's bloody good, isn't she?
She is bloody good. I want more pirate shenanigans on my wrestling.
Yeah, you up for that?
I watched some Pirate Paul Burchill the other night, it was a quiet night in with my wife-to-be. Let's put a bit of Pirate Paul Burchill on.
Go on.
I do not have a single Scooby-Doo while she's marrying me. But I genuinely miss
Paul Burchill.
I said this to her as she said, I'm leaving, I'm taking the cat. I'm like, but I miss Paul Burchill.
It was a weird thing, wasn't it? That Paul Burchill gimmick. Sorry, we're meant to be talking about Kairi Sane.
It's all good.
Because they did the Pirates of the Caribbean gimmick. That was like 3 or 4 years after the film came out. It was like they weren't especially hot on it. Like when that went, but I remember seeing that entrance, and it was the time that I got back into wrestling. It was around that time, and being like, wow, he's just swung in on a rope. That's actually awesome. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It
Good
still
wrestler as well.
holds up well. I'm just saying. Kairi Sane doing some more pirate shenanigans soon would be a delight as well. And we'll have more wrestling news throughout the day and across the weekend at cultaholic.com. Yo ho ho, and a bottle of love you buy.